Okay, Mr. Morganelli. Love the tie. Okay. It's Nick. Nick at night. It's late.
I'm half Italian and I'm passionate, but I don't know if I can top the passion there.
Give it a whirl.
I do want to pass these two sheets around that you can take a look at while I'm speaking. And I apologize for not having those in a larger format. But good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to voice my concerns against the proposed Russell Biomass facility. My name is Nick Morganelli, and that's Morgan with an E-L-L-I. I am a resident of Westfield, Mass, and live approximately 6 miles east of the proposed site. My children and wife have asthma, and I am here on their behalf as well. And like them, I, as well as everyone in this community, appreciate breathing clean air. I'm concerned for my family's lung health and the health of those in Westfield and who live nearby the proposed facility. Holding a bachelor's degree in meteorology, I've worked as a meteorologist for 15 years and have lived in Hampden County for the last 10. I've forecasted here for several years. I've seen the wind flows. I am aware of what air pollution and aerosols, which are dust, smoke, and anything that's put into the air that can float, so to speak, be suspended in the air, and what those wind flows do. I'm also a current member of the Board of Directors for the American Lung Association of Massachusetts. How is it that pollution from Ohio and New Jersey increased our low-level ozone right here in New England, and building a wood-burning facility right here would not affect our ozone? Unless, of course, this facility would take pollutants out of the air when burning biofuel. The idea that no adverse effects to our local air quality will materialize is simply inaccurate science, wishful thinking, or a bogus assumption. And I'll get to the assumption in just a moment. The biomass concept may be a better concept than fossil fuel, as we've heard some people say. It's not the best, of course. It's not clean. The one main reason why I believe this plant is not right for this area, simply, it's how the weather interacts right here, locally. In other words, the real estate phrase, location, 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 applies. And this is my theme tonight. It is, number one, it is too close to and west or upwind of a large population, Westfield, West Springfield, and other surrounding towns and cities. The prevailing wind blows from the west-northwest eastward to the Connecticut River Valley. As you can see from the topography here, the topographical map, and if you look at where the site is located and where that prevailing wind is coming from, it's going to take that wind right down through the mountain chain. I'll explain more about that in a minute. But the topography is my third part of the location. It's a region of valleys and mountains. It's the wrong location. The weather here will only act to maximize the potential hazards. Low-level ozone, non-dispersion of NOx and other gases. Now, you've seen some numbers put up here by Russell Biomass, and I'll talk a little bit about those numbers, and I'm going to ask a couple of questions about that too. Transportation and stationary source fuel combustion make up over 73% of primary pollutants. Both of those are the categories that the biomass plant and its truck traffic fit into, both of those categories. The plant emissions will not be dispersed readily and will certainly create an increased health risk for those in Hampden County. How can I say certain? Well, you can't until it's actually built, and then you have years and years of problems that arise with lung disease and asthma and different things, and then you can look back and say, now we're certain. You have to do the work beforehand. How do we do that? Well, one thing is computer models, and I'm going to get to one of the slides that we saw tonight. For those of you not familiar with the meteorology responsible for lung-related illness, I'll take the rest of my presentation to explain this. The first is the weather scenarios and computer modeling. Now, you've got to understand that there's an infinite variety of weather that can happen at any given time, especially in New England. San Diego, of course, has like 2 seasons. You know, we have 4, and the weather is changing every day here, whereas in San Diego it doesn't change much at all. There's been some comic movies about that, with the weatherman recording a forecast for the entire week, and just playing the recording. But as a native New Englander, that's one reason why I love to forecast here, because it does change, and it has many possibilities. It's really ridiculous to theorize, and I want to say theorize, because it is a theory, that pollutants from this biomass plant would in fact be dispersed and not harm anyone locally. Dispersed, I believe the number was 12.6 square miles up above us. There was no height given to that, it just said 12.6 miles. My questions for, I'll just pause for a minute in my presentation, because the questions that I have is, there was a continuous inversion in their computer model. Now these models mimic the atmosphere. You feed it information, mathematics, weather data, pollutant particles, and the math generates graphics and numerical answers that you can read, and you can say, here's the result. Oh, you've got to run this computer model thousands and thousands of times with many, many different scenarios to see what would happen in any different situation. The continuous inversion, what height was the inversion at? What type of inversion was it? What was the wind speed in the computer model? Was there turbulence added into the dispersion model? What was the wind direction? Wind direction from the prevailing westerly or northwesterly direction would push the particle, the gases and the particles right down the Westfield River Canal 6 miles into Westfield. I quote Mr. Holland saying, the dispersion is, he said, an unmeasurable impact for neighboring towns. It would be unmeasurable. Of course, because you can feed a computer model certain figures and numbers to get the result that you want. Understand that. You put in the mathematics, the right things, until the result gives you 12.6 square miles and an unmeasurable impact. At what height, we don't know. He didn't even give us the information. But I would like to see that information. I think you should disclose all that scientific information in your theory of how this would not affect anyone locally. It's absurd.